Zoba Sonji jumped in the Rio Sonho Dorjitic, but the Temperance Abala, Saji, non-Jurgi, non-Jolamiji, Jedi Baga, Nane, Savage, Jepeji, Ni, Cason Shusambari. Non-Jurgi, non-Jurgi, Patella, Tatambo, Jugo, Wanga Kaula, non-Jurgi, Jigi, Chogatala, Jupar Sebe, Caso Tambo, one corco. One de la non-Jurgi, Tambo, Ripper, one Natan, Dorje Robanja, one Joker.
To continue the discussion of the Buddha's teaching of the resultant Vajrayana. This Vajrayana is divided into 4 categories of the Kriya Tantra, Charya Tantra, Yoga-Tantra and Maha-Anuttara Yoga Tantras. Yesterday completed the discussion on the first 2 of these, the Kriya Tantra and the Charya Tantra. So we now come to the 3rd, the Yoga-Tantra class. The Yoga-Tantra class, as far as the empowerment is concerned, there are 6 aspects to the empowerment. First of all, there is an empowerment of the 5 types, where certain emblems are associated with each of the 5 types of Buddhas in turn. And then there is a Vajracharya empowerment, or how is that translated? Vajra master, Vajra teacher empowerment, involving the use of a Vajra and bell as the emblems within the empowerment, making a total of 6 sections within the empowerment.
Nanjur Jeje Ripa Wanga Tela, Lamiki Jeje Ripa Wanga, Jungzi, Mandrava, Wangzi. Pena, then Dorji Regina, Nanjur Jeje, the Dorji Regina, then Jepin Tela, Tenga Guru, Jepin Tenga, then Dorji Tang, Dorjin Sembe, Trevor. Then Nanjur Jeje, the Renshin Regina, Jepin Serpo Guru. Then Rinpoche dang, Rinpoche in Sambe Trevor. Then Pemere Yana, Jepinta, Marpo, then Pematang, Pemin Sambe Trevor. Then Nanjuji Legere Yana, Jepinta, Jankugu, Jadram Tang, Jadram Jin Sambe Trevor. Then Nanjuji, number Nangzi Gere Yana, Jepinta, Carpo, no. Dejinshipere ina, then Jepinte Carpo, Kolotan, Kolun Sambeke, Trevor, the Lamike Ripa Onga, Wangzi, this is Mandrava.
This empowerment of the 5 types is similar to, but with some differences from the equivalent empowerment within the Maha-Anuttara Yoga Tantra class of empowerments. The 5 types are as follows. For the Vajra class, or Vajra type, there is used within the empowerment a deep blue scarf, and also a Vajra and bell marked with a Vajra. A Vajra that has a bell that has a Vajra as its handle, in other words. For the jewel class, there is a yellow scarf and a bell marked with a jewel. For the lotus class, there is a red scarf and a bell marked with a lotus. For the action or karma class, there is a green scarf used plus a Vajra that is marked with a bell that is marked with a double Vajra, a crossed Vajra on top of the bell. And then finally for the Vairocana category, which is the Tathagata class, there is a white scarf used and the drawing of a bell marked with a wheel. These are the symbols that are used within the empowerment for these 5 types, and they are a little different from the equivalent symbols used in the Anuttara Yoga Tantra class.
Pematon dorje, Jadram Kolo dorje la sopa, Dene, Nawan Tayekin sensi, Trebene Tengen Trapa, de la, Tenen Namjurki Jitela, Rikpa Wang Asarva, Tambo Pombala, Jik, De, Teni, Jepin de Rinjin Jundi, Teni, dorje do Rinjin Pema Jadram Soso Soso Yunru, Regla, Ten Nawan Tayekin sensi, Ten Trebete Tengen Trapa. Then Meke Paga Sensitella Pombasa, number Nanzi in Sensitella, then Shardo, Dorje, Yana, Rumboje, Yana, Pama, Yana, Jaram.
Sorry for the delay. Now, these are the symbols that have just been described, are the symbols that are used to indicate the particular type to which the empowerment concerned belongs. But at the same time, there are, within each empowerment, an empowerment of the 5 types. This is where the confusion arises. Now, within the main empowerment itself, there is a flask empowerment. The flask empowerment, the empowerment of water, and this is associated with the Buddha Akshobhya. Then there is a scarf empowerment. The scarf empowerment is associated with the Buddha Ratnasambhava. Then there is an empowerment associated with Amitabha, and here the emblem can change. The emblem changes according to the particular type or category to which the empowerment being given belongs, and the main deity concerned may belong to the Vajra class, therefore a Vajra will be used here. The main deity concerned may belong to the jewel class, and therefore a jewel will be used here, and so on. Then there is the 4th empowerment, which is associated with the Moga Siddhi, and here a bell is used. And again, the characteristics of the bell vary according to the class of the main deity concerned. This bell is associated with the Moga Siddhi empowerment, but if the general empowerment is of the jewel type, then the bell will be marked with a jewel. If it is of the Vajra type, then the bell will be marked with the Vajra, and so on. Then finally there is the name empowerment. This is associated with Vairocana, and this remains the same. There are no changes here, and the point of this is exactly the same as within the Anuttara Yoga-Tantra class. In the name empowerment, in both the yoga class and the Maha-Anuttara Yoga-Tantra class, the symbol that is used is a Vajra and bell tied together, a Vajra attached to a bell.
Kumbunga Zamba Taparsepa, Rondan Pensum Topeke, one. The Yegi so then a Dorje Terbuga Wangi, the Dorje Hopanja ones, the Dorje Terbuga Wan Korvala, then Senjin Yina, then a Nanjurjige, Chu Ten Chopa, Nanjurjige, one Kor Chopa, Nanjurjige, Trixie Chopa, last of Bekitani, one Topari, Tela, Yendan Pensum Topa one.
These empowerments of the 5 types, the point of these is to purify the conceptual clinging to the 5 skandhas. This in itself is perfects, or rather is perfection of one's own benefit. This is for the benefit of oneself that this empowerment is given. After this empowerment, there is an empowerment entailing the use of a Vajra and bell, which is known as the Vajracharya empowerment. This empowers one to teach the teachings of the Yoga-Tantra class, to give the empowerment, to give the instruction of the Yoga-Tantra class, and so forth. This, therefore, is enabling one to act for the benefit of others, and is said to be a perfection of the benefit for others. So we have the benefit for the self, and for oneself, and benefit of others as well.
Then the Gombe gets Holan, Jake Carpochele, Mato Dawa, Song Doje, Trodo Gombe Corosar, Things in Sana, Onconche, Nanzon Adon, Chomtroje, Gomjin, Chepa Sawayan, Sena Dancer Sawayan, the Gombe gets Sordella, Number Sonchopa, Naya Gone, Gombre Sapayan, Number Sanchopa. Number Sanchopa, Nate, Tambo, Yetombanela, Number Sanchopa. Tambo La Gombe Gauso, Chu Tangji, Tombanye de Jur, La Sopa, Tony Gangona, Nyambarja. Tony Gangona, Nyambarjaba, Te Tombanyela, Number Sanchopa. Te Giso, Pematang, David Din Gamba. Te Din Davala, Number Sanchopa. Te Giso Tane, Tusuke Nimbo, Hongdong, She, La Sopa, Gambresaba, Te Song Yindrula, Number Sanchopa. 대예기에서 되는 인조때 용서 jorpale 되는 산신 인준 삼바 선배나 되는 그니 따버야나 그니 넘버 항지 히바테 남저게 제이데 그니 따버야나 담보 홍karbo 용서 jorpale 도지에 karbo 때와 홍인 삼바 뭐 된다와 산신라 내 jorpa 대톡 산신라 넘버 성jorpa Then something tell Vesentu, Sonji Tamji Lan Chepapol, Sentin Tamji Digpaton Drova Young, Vesetu Tamgurek, Tambon Chepap, then Vesetu, the Lion Vesentu, Charante, Jiba Heruja. Lion Vesentu, Sentin Tamji Digpaton Drova Young, then Veser Yarn Dune, something, then Tuso don't keep a Yonso Jorvale, then Kulan John Drova, go. Number Hangzi Tavo, Dorje Samba Tavo, Gola, Njundrawati, Go Yunzula, number Song Chopa, the Nanzon Naya Gone, Gongo Yore Song.
The conduct associated with the teachings of the Yoga-Tantra class are essentially the same as those with the other lower tantras, the Kriya Tantra and so forth, the conduct of purity as was described yesterday. Within the meditation, however, the process for the generation of the deity is a process by means of the 5 enlightenments. The first of these is the enlightenment of emptiness. And here one imagines in the meditation oneself and all phenomena dissolving into emptiness, and one rests in the contemplation of that emptiness. This is the enlightenment of emptiness. The second one imagines from that emptiness arising a lotus and moon disk as a seat, and this is known as the moon seat enlightenment. Then the third part, one imagines the seed syllable of the deity arising on top of the lotus and moon seat, and this is known as the seed enlightenment. Fourth, one imagines the seed syllable changing into the hand emblem of the deity, marked with the seed syllable of the deity. To give an example of this, we'll take from the Yoga-Tantra class the deity Sarvavid Vairocana. Now, Sarvavid Vairocana, his seed syllable is a white hum. So first of all, one imagines a white hum appearing. But then, for the fourth of these enlightenments, one imagines the white hum changing into a white vajra. A white vajra is the hand emblem of Sarvavid Vairocana. And in the center of this, in the hub, I suppose is the best word, of the vajra, is a small white hum. So the hand emblem of Vairocana is marked with the seed syllable of Vairocana. And this is known as the heart hand emblem enlightenment. Then, fifthly, from this seed syllable and hand emblem, light radiates, making offerings to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. We imagine this light dissolving back into the seed syllable, then the light radiating out again, this time purifying the evil and obscurations of all beings. And then finally the light dissolves back in, and the hand emblem and seed syllable together change and transform into the deity, whoever it might be, in this example, Sarvavid Vairocana, the complete form of the deity. This is known as the enlightenment of the complete body. So in the Yoga-Tantra classes, then, we have this fivefold structure to the generation of the deity. And I would add that I'm mistaken in translating these words as the five enlightenments. They should be the five realizations I've just remembered.
Tene pena keni number nangji tabayana ta tambo ngarang zo keni number nangji gam chane tene ngarang ge tukane tene hwanting pena shardo tene mejepa shardo mejepa ga zong am shodane shodaya sawa apaya hong hwanting de trune tene shardo pema don dawe denji tan don hwanting de pa hwanting de yongso chorbale tene shardo mejepa ta Rayong am shodan shode sawa apaya drum trune di rang tukane haunting de trune din loye pemma do dawe dinji tan do pa di haunting de yongso jorbale dan renjin jungning ge nambala jorwa den rawa zongkor thomji de la den rang tukane dambo sawang ge haunting de trune den haunting de yongso jorbale sawang yongso jorbale den la de dong de nambala jorwa di tingin zen chomtro je korke ba sonta Penna Nanjurga Jela, Chomtru Yaya Goni, then Sanji Lapa to Yori, the Tangbo Della, Tingen and Chomtru, Korka Bas on the day. The Yejiso, one Gorwe Chomtru, the Konani, Sanji Lapas, Dan Korke, Tane, Rayon Ronga Tusu, Levezen to Java Ringa, Young and Denjan Angala, Jin Drang, the Zodong Court Tomji La on Gor Sanji Lane, Jawaringa Yongade, Zonkor Tomji La Timbersabate, then one Gorwe Chonter. The Yejiso, Sanji Lape Chonter, that Sanji Lape Chonter, the Saja Ye Dabason, the Saja Mandrava Sejur. Bena Kenitava Yena, Tambo Tenepena, Sarkin. Sakin the young Saja Mandrava Chick Segundo. Then it's Uncle Yungzu, La Riri, La Teni Jam Mandrava Riri Yori. Jela Sakin, then they just a young Saja Mandrava, Leja, then Tamja, then Chuja, then it's Uncle Yungzu, La Son, then Saja Mandrava, then number Yori, Tela Tambo Sakin, Leja, Chuja, Tamja. Danzi Gija, the Saja number Ye, then Ye Daparsapas, Ye Dapasena, that in Aram Gom Yopek, Lasso, Tera Tanji, then Chepat on Tanji Yonsu of a Madruka part of Tempersepek, Tamna what you did.
After the generation of the deity by means of these five realizations, we then have a part of the meditation which is known as the See, I got this word wrong a couple of weeks ago, and have to be careful. The word literally translated means miracle, which is not suitable here. Magical act, the four acts, let's call them. Let's keep it simple. There are four of them anyway. In the first of these, the first one is known as that which, by means of meditative absorption, arranging the retinue. The point of this is, one imagines, for example, with Sarvavid Vairocana meditation. First of all, while reciting a particular mantra associated with the Buddha Akshobhya, one imagines from one's heart arising the seed syllable and mantra garland and seed syllable of Akshobhya, and this comes out of the heart to a place in front in the eastern direction, and thereby transforms into the Buddha, into the blue Buddha Akshobhya. Then, while reciting a mantra associated with the Buddha Ratnasambhava, one imagines the seed syllable of Ratnasambhava arising from one's heart, going into the southern direction to a particular site, a seat, and thereby transforming into the Buddha Ratnasambhava, and so on. All the retinue are generated in this same way. While reciting a mantra associated with each of the particular deities within the mandala, one imagines a seed syllable of that particular deity arising from one's heart, going to the place where that deity is to be seated, and there transforming into the form of that deity. So that is the first of these four. The second is that known as the empowerment of reality, the empowerment which gives the inspiration or blessing of reality. Now here one imagines empowerment deities. A light radiates out from one's heart, attracting the empowerment deities. The empowerment deities come and give initiation or empowerment to all the individual members of the mandala, oneself and all the other members of the deities, all the other deities within the mandala, and dissolve finally into oneself. This is the second then, the second which is the empowerment which gives the inspiration of reality. Then thirdly we have the most complex of these, which is the one which gives inspiration or blessing. The point of this is there are in the Sarvavid Vairocana practice, this is subdivided into 4 sections. Each of these sections are known as mudras. Now, mudra here means a seal. Seal meaning, in this instance, that the actions that are performed within the ritual stabilize the realization, the meditative absorption that is achieved within the practice. It is stabilized so that it becomes a permanent part of one's realization, so to speak. So the realization is solidified in some sense. Now there are 4 of these mudras. First of all we have Mahamudra, then Kama Mudra, then Dharma Mudra, and finally Samaya Mudra. Now within I might have got the order wrong. I think in fact Mahamudra comes last, and my memory might be wrong. But within these, there are many hand gestures. This word also means mudras. Hand gestures used to act as the seals, the way of sealing the realization associated with each of the deities in turn, and so on. So the word mudra here has 2 senses. One is the whole act that is going on of sealing the realization, sealing that perception, and the other meaning of being the hand gesture, the meaning that's normally known. Then fourthly, we have that of offering and praise, the magical act, if you like, of offering and praise. And here one imagines offering goddesses radiating out from one's heart, carrying offerings to all the deities of both the self-generated and the front-generated mandalas. That's the deities of the mandala that one imagines oneself as in, and the deities of the mandala imagined in front of oneself. Then finally all these goddesses make praise to the great qualities of all the deities within the mandalas, the self and the front mandalas as well. So this completes these 4 magical acts.
사지 동제지 남주지 송가라 다지 랑 감바 랑라라 감바 대라 다지 던제 남칼라 되네 감버세바 대라 던지 지 지데 송가라 된다와 감지요래 되네 냠바가 깔라야나 다 다지 동던지 그 투수 그 님볼레 외전주 송지도 송주 당지는 제법 디산나 저 하용 선진 당지가 디두도 동한라 소바장 선진 당지 대라대동 대에 남발에 내 전에 당지게 되는 홍성화 삼모 대인데 덴버세바 감바데 당지라 찍바래.
By these words self-generation and front-generation, we mean the deity that one imagines oneself as, that's the self-generation, and front-generation, this is the deity that we imagine in front of ourselves. This method of meditation applies to all three of the lower tantras, the Kriya, Charya and Yoga classes. With the repetition of the mantra of each of these classes, we have more or less the same meditation. Here one imagines from the seed syllable of both the front and self generations, light radiating out, making first of all offerings to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Then the light returns with the inspiration of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And then we imagine light radiating out again to all beings, purifying them of their evil and obscurations and raising them to the status of the particular deities concerned. We imagine them all transforming into these deities, all beings that is, and we imagine them repeating the mantra of the particular deity concerned. This meditation is the same for all these three classes of tantras.
생이 매봐 동반이 왜 살아게 뭐도 또고요 동니도 또고요 단도 추탐지제 뭐 담바 마주 봐 동반이 돼 또고요 근저게 왕도세나 năng 완的 통지 선내진지된다 당지 나랑 하강 감바 되게 심함다고 농제제 생진 당제 나랑가 하강 감바 되게 넘발라 또고요.
The view that is entailed in the Yoga-Tantra class is essentially that all tangible phenomena lack characteristics. This is to say that one appreciates the empty essence of all tangible phenomena. One appreciates that the nature of phenomena is that of radiant emptiness. And we in the Yoga Tantra class conceive of, from the point of view of conventional reality, we conceive the physical worlds as being the pure land associated with the deity concerned within the practice, and we conceive of all the beings in the world as being the deities of the mandala associated with a particular practice.
남저게 제 대답을 그 초가다라 냠솔랑나 되는 디겐 리브데라 메시 섬근 차니 되는 오미 취지 연기 상황로 고섬 이시가여 당니도 상계 바인 된다와 성요래 되는 메시 섬나 성요래데 옛날용 메시 섬바도 상미제와 말에 대사지 라미 그 제데라 때나 대대사지 되는 탑 제발제 땡요 말에 히베 책이
If one practices the Yoga-Tantra class of practice, then it is said that within the space of 3 human lifetimes one can achieve the Akanista realm or Akanista Dharmadhatu realm, in other words, the realization of the 5 awarenesses and so on, enlightenment. This is, of course, not to say that one cannot achieve enlightenment before 3 lifetimes is up, but is to indicate that the relative effectiveness of the practices of the Yoga-Tantra class.
다 사지 제지 남저지 섬미시바데 전네 다 나랑 좀 두지 깔마 강송게 초가가 원부스나 마게 배공진게 정나 사자까지 님마 제루 예요 옛날용때 맹 다과 장게 좀 달라 맹 다바 장거 소소 타디도 맹 만다와 예종아래 마도 추데라 제바요 말이 제바 매베 중심 간리에나 담보 배라 추요 말이 대예지서 되니 잘보 처성되지 jambe 용거 잘보 처성되지 뱀네 되니 그러름보제 빼만주는 진장 큰보 모두 사도 진장네 되니 나베 배라 추 다리용 말이 추 다르베 까블라용 배가 로자와 마바 로자동 로친 rin신상보 라소바 로자와 몽보 자갈라 야페 되니 자갈니 추라 대마 열 양 자거게 뺀다다 아테샤 따보당 되니 뺀진 너던 자나 따보당 되니 대라소베게 자거게 뺀다다 몽보마 댕장 뺀진 샤샤셔 따보 파담바 송지 따보 Tendawa Mombo Dintone, then in Bella Chu the Tambo Darion. Chu Dar Tane, Gashi Gepena, Lamaga, Zo, the Yusak, Nela, Mengtane, Pana, Gadimpa, Tava, then Ro Gadimpa, then Sachaka Mengri, Tela Conri, Dansa Tombo, Tapsundu, Jetsangapaga. Dansa Tanata, the Tiki Japatella, Gelupa, Savanda was it, Gedimpa, Gelupa, Chipare, Mengtenda was it, and Jorgundu. Then Aronson, Doji Karma Consonte, then Tello, Naro, Marba Malane Zonte, then Kaji Jepek, Donga, the Nyam Solone, then Sonji Compon la Shakespeare, Tela Kaji Pass, a Chuga Gone, Mengtawa. Then Sacha Pachipate, then Sacha Can Kunchu Jarboke, then Pen Sajake Netela, Dansan Deseke Netela, then Sachaoshi Yore. Kadu Jao Jinsi. Tige Mengtela, Sacha Pashi, Sacha Latine, Saya Kadu Latine, Mengtawari. Nima Pashi, but the Tani, Bella Tambo, Chu, Maman Jorson, Yimbina, they say Penna, Chu, Nimba Tavasiri. Te Latine, Chu, Chu Latine, Mengtawari, Tere Matoga, Chu Tela, Shepherd in the Yomare. The Mengtawaka Sortenda Wachumari.
Our tradition is known as the Karma Kamsong tradition of the Kaju school. Now, there are 4 main traditions in Tibet, but there are no differences as far as the Dharma that is practiced within these traditions is concerned. There are differences of name. To give some examples of this, first of all, many years ago, there was no such thing as the Dharma in Tibet. But after the time of the King Trisong Detsen, who invited to Tibet Guru Rinpoche, Shanti Rakshita, and so on, other teachers to Tibet, there came the spread of the Dharma in Tibet. Later, after that time, many translators such as Marpa, Loda Rinchen, and others visited Tibet, visited India to collect teachings, brought these teachings back to Tibet, translated them, and spread these teachings. And in this way, the Dharma was spread in Tibet. Now, the various traditions that grew up, some of them gained a name because of the area in which the particular teachings first spread in Tibet. For example, an area called Ganden, the great teacher Tsongkhapa first had his seat, his monastery, and so on, and the tradition that developed from him became to be known as the Geluk tradition. The word Geluk and Ganden mean more or less the same in this instance. So here the name, one of the names that is applied to this tradition is based on the place in the country where the teachings originated. Then, for example, in our own instance, we have the Karma Kamsong Kaju tradition. Here, these teachings come from the tradition of Tilopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, and so forth, this lineage of teachers who achieved complete realization. And this lineage, this oral tradition lineage, the name Kajupa, which means literally oral tradition, to some extent means oral tradition. This lineage has a name which comes from Dharma, so to speak. The first name was based on, have I gone wrong? Oh, sorry. It's based on this name is based not on a site, a place, but is based on the meaning of associated with the word Dharma, the teachings that are transmitted. That's the word I was looking for. Then we have with the Sakya tradition, the great teacher Phuntsok Jalpo. The place in which he lived, the land there, the ground, was very light in color, and the word Sacha means light ground or light land. And so the teachings that, the tradition that developed from him was given this name, indicating the area, the color of the ground, literally in the area in which he lived. Then finally we have the Nyingma tradition. The word Nyingma means old ones. And this tradition comes from the earliest translations, the first teachings of Buddhism that came into Tibet, and therefore the tradition is the old tradition. The teachings are the oldest, and so therefore it is called the old tradition. Within all of these four traditions, the basic teachings, the Dharma, is the same, but there are these different names that have arisen for various different reasons. Now I know why Shut Up was giving me a funny look then. The Kabab Jiro. The Kaju word here, oral tradition, is indicating the four traditions that came together in the teacher Tilopa, known as the only translation really is the four traditions, and it is the word is suggesting these four traditions, the tradition of these four teachings or sets of teachings that came together.
Tene lodu tsaya lawa pa khandro kawa zommo de kabab yeye lama yin song. Tene chochin tello pa gan papa lodu gendai ne paji sangwan de pa wang hyu. Dige zoram la vesar ja kapa wa paji. Tene tsaya ne napo pa re chochin napo pa gendai ne tene kollo demcho ga wang hyu wa. Tela tene diga zoram tela tene gyulu ke kapa bari. Lawa pa tene maji maha yoga wang lawa pa. Lawa pa tene maji maha yoga ka wang hyu. Diga zoram tela tummo ke kapa. Khandro kawa zomu tene nimi Jeye dorji ge wang hyu. Dige zoram la. Khandro karwa zammu ge dine nimi jeye dorji ge wang top. Dige zoram la malam je kapa pare. Teni di ngaron son naro chudu de zawe ge chuje wesar gyulu tomo malam je de zawe chuje. Deye tando bardo don powa ni de yanla ge chu ni. Teni tela zoram naro chudu zoram. 나로 추주조주 제데 예예 공바가 조롱 그 차든 리가 와리 다 디예게 까바비용데 데라 까바 넘바 예 데 트로킨 텔로 팔란도 이래 텔로 파게 테네 로만테 나로 팔라 노니 디인데네 테네 마르발로 딱 토바리.
So these four traditions of our school, these four traditions are four traditions that came together with Tilopa and teachings that he received. First of all, our teachings he received from Nagarjuna, the father Tantra of Guhya Samaja. With this as the perfection phase, he learnt the clear light or radiant light teachings. Secondly, from Krishna Pada, he learnt the teachings of Chakrasamvara, the Chakrasamvara cycle, and together with this the teachings of illusory body. Then thirdly, from Lavapa, he learnt the mother tantra of Mahamaya, and together with this the teachings of Tuma meditation. Then fourthly, from the her name is Khandro Kalpazammo. I do not know the Sanskrit for this. He learnt the non-dual tantra of Hevajra, and together with this the teachings of the dream. Now these four extra teachings that he learnt, radiant light, illusory body, tummo, and dream, constitute the four root practices within the six doctrines of Naropa, the four basic practices of the six doctrines of Naropa. There are two others making up the total of six. These are the intermediate state and transference of consciousness, which are considered to be ancillary or extra teachings within the six doctrines. So it is in this way that the teachings of the six doctrines came together. These teachings, of course, Tilopa passed on to Naropa himself, from whom Marpa received these teachings, and this is how this came into our tradition. I left out that Chakrasamvara, of course, was in the Mother Tantra class, as well as Mahamaya.
Then Salam Naro Chudu Hipandeta, Tinsong, Namandrawa Yena, then Bena Roma, Zendruton, Dembake, then Lama Gate, then Chene, then Gongo Yores. Then Gone, Naro Chudu Genong, Dan Kan Yoba, Salam Kan Yoba, Naro Chudu get Tenda Kan Yoba, Roma Della, Nyamson Young Togo Yore, Nan some the Togo Yore. Bena Malom Gomna Yon, Malom Gomba Calzo Tenny, Bena Shankamlan Roa, Water, Nansung, Nedi Landrone, Tenny, Sentin Tiga, Dongan Kandin, Tawan Water, Shankamlan Drone, Yadan Lag, and then Lungtin Shawatan, Chu Shawa Las of Attenda, Nansam the Zit Togo Yori. Tenny, Tinsona, Bena, Naro Chudu Tava, Tenny, Debla, George Harson. Tenny, George and Menga Hichega, Songo Yori. Naro Chudu de Samodo Yenayon, Debla George Hasson, Coron, Debla Tin, Yamson, and Driggendo, Dabo Sango Yore, then our Yams Lanking or Kashi Yore. Yenayan, Debla Tin, Yams Lanking Tiga, Gonza Tiga, Kasi Gomnayon, Naro Chudu, Surgeon to Sumba, Yamson Young Togo Yomare. They maybe Johnson Kanyana, Tambo Yadon Lag, Jerum Gogo Yore, Yadon Zorum de, Zorum Gana, Jerum de Gogo Yore. Tambo Yadon Lager, Jerum Tidang, Dembachin Rogo. The Jerum Tidon, Dembatic Gila, then it Zorum Tel and Jogo, then it Zorum Tigger something else on top of you. Then it in Jupiter Sepe Gabla and Tambo, Lama Cheperdon Papa, Lama Korongan, Hamates, and Yomse Lang Topa, then Davachi, Lamachi, Tini, then it Jezuka, Niti Shone, then it Gomna, then it on top of you. Then Matuga Ranging, Tablatina, Loju Tavre. Loju dawa Latina, then the Jumsin Shiva de Matoke, the Salam de San and Yamso, Young Tokamare.
With the six doctrines of Naropa, the tradition is that a teacher would teach to a student who has prepared, a student with good effort in his practice and so on, and is prepared for such practices. He would teach him these practices properly, enabling him thereby to perform the practices properly and achieve the necessary or relevant realizations within each. He would teach him the method of practice, just what should be achieved within the practice and how to achieve this, so the student does actually achieve the realizations required. For example, within the doctrine of the dream practice, it would be possible to achieve full realization of the dream state, control over the dream state, so that within the dream state one could then be able to travel to pure lands, to meet with yidams and so on, to request from yidams teachings and prophecies and so on. This, in other words, the student would be able to achieve the full results of the practice. However, it is the case that the texts associated with the six doctrines, some of the texts of the six doctrines of Naropa have been translated into English, and some people think that they can therefore pick up such a book and then practice the six doctrines of Naropa properly. But this is not the case. Why not? The point is, to do this properly, to do the practice properly, one first of all needs to practice the generation phase meditation of the particular yidam concerned. One must do this completely, and having completely perfected the generation phase process of the meditation, then and only then can one go on to practice something like the six doctrines of Naropa and expect to achieve success within that practice. For this, one has to also rely on a good teacher, a good lama, a lama who has himself also practiced these things. And only in that way can one obtain the correct guidance that is necessary to perform the practices properly. Yeah, if one was to try just use the book as its own, just to naturally pick it up and try to do it from there, these are just words. It's just like a story, a description, so to speak, and is not and practicing in this way cannot be the real practice at all. I left out that in the dream practice not only can one visit Pure Lands, but one can visit the Hell Realms as well and see just what is the nature of the Hell Realms, see what kinds of beings are there and so forth.